Hello guys, this is Paula and I am back today for us to change these covers to a crackle cover. So if you've watched the last couple of videos, this is video 3 of making the rose book. And the reason I'm calling it the rose even though it's blue is I'm incorporating blue and pink and gold and just an array of beautiful colors, but mostly pinks and blues and gold and all the other pages. That this is the paper that will be on the inside cover. You can see it has roses. So we're going to paint this white. Don't be afraid. We're going to move one out of the way for right now. We're going to paint this white. Keep your fingers crossed. No guarantees as to how it looks when you do this. If it doesn't look good and we have to redo it, I'll redo it. But my plan is not to have to redo it. So here we go. Let's clean up this little mess I just made from shaking the bottle. I don't know why it did that, but it's okay. Okay, so we're using white cream coat Delta paint, acrylic paint. Now, woo, that's a lot, isn't it? It's going to take that though. So I recommend you start on the inside cover. And last time I used a smaller brush for that. So I'm just going to barely dampen this brush, okay? Oh, this is bigger than I used last time. I thought I had all my brushes out. Here's one. We'll use this one. That one probably needed to be dampened anyway. It's been sitting there forever. I don't use them as much as I used to. It's not required really, but I have used a lot of acrylics over time. Okay, so what we did is we painted this navy blue. We let it completely dry. Then we came back and painted it with this Folk Art Crackle Medium. And this was the second, this medium was the second coat on here. But it's clear. Now, it did make it a little shiny, and that's okay, but that's going to go away. So, after painting this, you have to let it dry at least 24 hours if you want a good result. I'm going to flip it over and do it on the inside, and I'm not going to show you guys the example. That way the ones of you that haven't seen it happen can see the magic. Okay, so we're just going to start right on the inside of the book portion. Now, you got to kind of work fast because otherwise you'll be going over it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, see, that's already crackling. Doesn't take it long to crackle. When you go back over it, you're going to get kind of a different look. So I'm not as concerned about the inside being perfect as I would like the outside. And I don't mean perfect. I mean, after all, we are crackling the book, right? We're cracking it up. So just kind of do long strokes, and we might get a better. Load your brush because it's the, it is your chance to go over it. Now we're going to do on the edges. Now just remember, anything you go over, whatever the brush touches is going to add a streak. And when I say streak, I just mean it might change the way it looks a little bit as to how you just had it. It's not going to stay the same. I'm doing the side edges now. And I'm just loading my brush each time I touch the book. Okay. Now, oops, see that just pulled some of the paint off. So I'm just going to go back over it. Now, on the inside here, you've got a little bit of paint that kind of rolled over from the sides. Just kind of smooth it out the best you can. Get the best look you can get. You know, the key to doing this is knowing that you know it's going to have a crackle look. So it can't, there's not really a wrong way to do it unless you don't follow the instructions. And really, there's not much instructions on this. It just says paint on top of your base coat using a contrasted color after you put your medium on. So after you let the medium dry, and then you put a contrasting color. I would say blue and white are pretty contrasting, wouldn't you? I would. Now, I am more or less putting a second coat on the inside, but only because if you do it too much, you're going to get this. See that? I don't like that, but I've already done it. And if I keep messing with it, it's not going to look very good. Okay? So don't learn from me and don't overwork it. Okay? So now we're going to get our big brush and we're going to get out here and start doing some big strokes. And this is when you'll see the big difference. Okay? So we're just going to do long strokes. And you'll find that it dries really fast. Try not to, you know, put a lot over the edges because we've already worked those. Yeah, you're going to find that this paint dries really fast on here. And it immediately starts cracking your book. So try to get on the edge first so that you don't have spots on the front that you don't like. You can't do super long strokes because I'm finding right now that it dries super fast, and you can see by looking at it that it's already got plenty of crackling going on. Now, if you go over it, I don't know what result we're going to get, but we're going over it a little bit, aren't we? Like right here, I have to go back and look what I did. See, we just don't know. I left clumps of paint in some of these areas. So what I'm going to do is let it go for a minute, get everything base coated. Okay. And then I'm going to take, this is going to be my last stroke over some of this because it's, see, like right there? I'm hoping that it will still crackle, even though I boobed in that spot. Not seeing crackling now. So I may have not done it right. I may have put too much. I worked it too much. So we'll let this be the back of the book and we'll do better. See, look at this. This is where the problem is right here. It's clumping and it's taking the medium off. So what I say we try, let's try and go ahead and do the front and see if we can make it look better. Oh, it's coming through. It is crackling. Awesome. We just have to give it a minute to get itself. So as it dries is when you see. Now, if we can get this portion to work, that's going to be perfect. If I can leave it alone. I'm trying to keep from having too rough of edges, you know, where the paint kind of piles up. Let's see. All right, so we're going to see how this dries. I'm not holding out much hope for that one portion right there. But we can always put something here. And when I say we can always put something there, I mean like, we can do like, I don't know, we could put a picture on the cover. I mean, we could put something on there. Maybe I'll put my Handmade by Paula right there and just see how it turns out. This is going to be the back part of the book, obviously, because I messed it up. So I don't know if you can do 2 coats of crackle on this. It doesn't say if you screw up, you know, do a 2nd coat of crackle medium. It doesn't say that, but that doesn't mean I might try it if I, you know, decide to. Let me put this on a box to dry while we work on the other one. Otherwise, this is doing super great, and I'm really happy with it. Before I lose that cover, I will sand it down and redo the whole thing if I have to. So, okay, let's get the 2nd cover. Let's try to do a little better job, Paula. I'm sorry, guys. I was holding out for perfection, but I know I'm just not perfect at doing things. Now, go fast. That's the key. Go fast. Don't go over it a million times. Okay, so I'm going to do this right here. While I'm here, kind of let them dry together. If you try to go over it with a dry brush, you're going to be unhappy. That is what I have figured out. And don't leave clumps of paint on there that's going to have to go back and be smoothed, because it's not going to look good if you do that. So I'm just trying my hardest. You know, when you overload your brush, you get the opposite effect sometimes. You know, too much is too much. But let's see how this does. Now, it's looking not bad. It's not beautiful, but it's working. We're just doing the edge right now. Trying to get this edge done right here. The thing is by doing the underneath and the edge, it leaves kind of a clump of acrylic on the front of your book. That's why you have to go as fast as possible. Now, am I fast? Not usually. I am an old lady. Well, not super old. I call myself old. I justify it by saying I have grandchildren. I'm old. No, not really. You're not old if you have grandchildren. Okay, so here is this portion. We're going to have to hurry and get over on this side, get our big brush going, and keep your fingers crossed. Don't overplay it. Don't overplay it, but at the same time, I want it to be white with blue crackles. So I don't want it to be super navy. I want it to be mostly white with crackles. Now, see, I'm not loading quite as much. The only thing is, like, if you look down here at the bottom, see where the paint overlapped from the other side? That part I don't like super well. It's very hard not to go over what's already been brushed on, especially when you're putting on your first layer. As you can see here, and I'm running out of paint. I think what we have to do is not worry about the brush strokes being perfect, because that's not going to matter. Not in the big scheme of things, it's not going to matter. I'm trying to figure out a way to smooth that out. See, it's wanting to do the same thing right there that it did on the other side. This is not a perfect science, because I'm not perfect at what I do. So I just put way too much paint. I'll have to scoop it back in, or I'll have to do something. And I'm just kind of laying paint on here without rubbing very much. Okay? And we'll just see what happens. Right there, we need to do some. Yeah, see, this side is coming out better. Thank goodness it's the front side, right? Let's just keep our fingers crossed on this. And let's see what happens. You know, you just don't know. I don't know what would happen if we went back over it again once it's dry. I may try that. As a matter of fact, we do have our dry one here somewhere. Let me find it, and we will just try that and see what happens. Here it is. I'm going to set this over, scoot it all the way over. Now, let's just see. This side isn't as nice as the front side, so let's just see what happens if we go over with the second coat. I bet it just ends up white. But I'll do this front cover, and I'm so glad I told you guys at the beginning, I'm not an expert at this. This is only the second time I've ever attempted this. And it's been so long since I attempted it the first time that I couldn't tell you how it turned out back in them there old days. Okay, so here is it painted the second time. So what I'm thinking is, let's put Crackle on the back and see how it turns out if we go over it again. Now, mind you, I am going to try it and see. I'm watching this one right here to see if it's going to, you know, allow a second coat of white and what it's going to do. So let's just kind of watch it for a minute. So I'm going to tell you a little bit. First of all, I'm not looking for perfection with this book. Okay? I think it ages it. It makes it look old. It's nice and bright. We can go over it with some ink if we should decide to. And if we do, we can do it on here first and see if we like it. Right? Now, this is not crackling on here with the original coat. It's just drying like I painted over it. This is a test book. Now, I think what we're going to do is put some Crackle on this side and see if we can get that to look. I'm going to put some of this paint back in the jar. Get my brush here, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, we may get it out again, but I just don't want to completely waste all this white paint that fell out of the bottle fast. That's what happens when the bottle's full. Excuse me, I had no warning on that one. I would have said excuse me first and warned you. But I want to not waste it because we may have to do this all over again, right? Okay, so we're just putting this white paint in here. And then I'm going to wipe off the edge of the bottle because I don't like stuff to stick over time. Can't get it open in these weak old hands. Okay, let me peek over here and see what this other one's looking like. everything looks super great except that one spot. So we lost the medium on that one spot by me working it to death. FYI, don't work it to death. Okay, so now we're going to try painting over this and see what happens. It's so funny to me that some of this shows more blue. I'm going to pull it up and let you see. Some of it shows more blue. We got a spot right here that's not perfect. Oh, Paula, what did you do? Now, what I say we do, if we can't get it like we want it, perfect. I mean, we're still going to have that effect, right? We're going to have the effect of all of this. And I know, I don't know about you guys, but I know back in the day, no one ever really painted perfect, right? I'm trying to remember where I had this last. So we're just going to put it right there. Let me put the lid on. Oops, it dripped a little bit. I don't want it sticking either, because I plan on doing more of these, whether it turns out perfect or not. I like the look. I like that old crackled look. I like tool painting things. This is something that kind of went along with tool painting. Okay, now I'm putting this coat on here. Let's see what happens. Now I'm putting a heavy amount. Okay, just so you know, I can see things underneath looking a little wet. Just want to make sure you cover the whole front and the edges. And I'll tell you, I think doing the edges is pretty tedious, but you want to do the inside edges too. I'm trying to find a place to hold this because I painted the other side, remember? And it's still a little wet, but I'm going to go ahead and forge ahead. This is our play example. Okay, so now we have crackle on here again. This is what it looks like. It almost looks like a glaze. I don't know how it's going to end up, but you can see that this one I put paint on over it did not crackle. Let's go ahead and do some of the crackle on this portion too while we're at it. We might as well, right? Now, mind you, the goal or the purpose of crackling, I'm hoping that this just starts crackling what's underneath. And the reason I'm thinking that would be cool, we wouldn't have to paint another layer of blue. Do you know what I'm saying? We just wouldn't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this side as well while we're at it. We might as well. I'm going to put a pretty heavy coat on there too, so it has some time to dry. Dry my brush off. Yeah, I have enough out that I think I'm just going to go ahead. But you're really supposed to make sure your paint is dry. We're going to see what happens when you don't, because this paint hasn't been on there that long on this right side. Right? We'll see if all their instructions are just as they say. Call this a test video. Obviously, we're testing what we can and can't do. It's aggravating because you want it to crackle evenly. That's the perfectionist in me. It bugs me that it's not crackling even. But really, if you think about old furniture, it wouldn't crackle even either, you know. So this one is wet, and I'm holding it. So we'll have to try it another day and see what happens if we do a second coat. Or I might do it off camera and then show you, because it makes a big mess, and I don't know how much time this one's looking good. This does not bother me because it's not as obvious now, you guys. Now, I wonder how the other one's looking. Let me wipe this stuff right here off. All right, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna lean this right here and get a wipey and clean my hands up. And then I'm gonna look next door at this other one and see how it's doing. And I recommend when you're done doing all this that you take your brushes to your kitchen sink, fill your little tub, or empty out the dirty water and rinse out your container, and then fill it up with soapy water and scrub and wash your brushes. They'll last you forever if you take care of them. I've had some of my brushes for so long. It's not even funny, but how long I've had some of them. So I just threw the wrong towel away. Threw away my wipey instead of my... I'm trying to get this off so that we can move on to doing maybe something else. I thought we could dig through these... this ephemera that I have that I want to use. I'm going to use some of the ephemera from different kits. Oh, and I want to show you the pages, the signatures, once I got the pages in. But I'll have to set this to the side. So give me just a second. Wiping this off. I'm going to check this one out next to us here. I move slow. So, I've determined that I must mess up in one spot. Now, there's a couple little spots. Those are no big deal. But it's just this. Now, this is going to be on the back, or we can make it the cover and put something on it. This is absolutely no big deal. Okay? If you could see it up close, you can see that it's not a big deal. That it doesn't look that bad. So I don't think we'll redo it, but I want to show you. Let me move this back over. Let's move this one first. Excuse me. Owie. Moving slow. Old lady, moving slow. Okay. Now, this one is drenched right here. But this one, what happened to my... I'm telling you, I just threw everything away, didn't I? I just got down there and started throwing stuff away. This one is not as bad as you might think. Let me get it up closer. I'm going to bring it up. Now, this is how it looks if you put your nose in it. But I like that it all looks like some old man restored it many years ago and didn't do that great a job. And the paint cracked because it got old. I love that whole thought. Now, I'm going to move these out of the way so I can bring out some of the paper. Just a moment. They have to dry completely before I make a decision. And I want to test drive this other and see what it looks like. I think regardless of what you do, you're going to make some mistakes. I've kind of came to that conclusion. Now, I'm going to move this and hope that I don't drop it. Keep your fingers crossed. If I do, we're going to have carpet stuck in it. Okay, let me get over here. Okay, come on. Moving is not the greatest thing for me right now, but I'm not letting it hold me back. Not all the time anyway. So it's not as bad as, yeah, it is bad, but excuse me. sitting and getting up is really hard. The second that I take and bend at my waist, yes, and that means pain. That's what that means. So I decided, while putting the journal together, I decided that we would add some different digitals. Now this is close to my heart, paper. Okay, and I put in a digital that is Mid-Century Mirage. I believe that's the name of it. Mid-Century Mirage. Is that what they're called? I don't know if I have anything with that written on it. Let me look. I think it's Mid-Century Mirage. No, Medieval Mirage. Don't listen to me. Medieval Mirage is what these papers are. But let me tell you, this only comes in the pages. There's no embellishments or anything that comes with it unless she has added something to the store that I'm not aware of. So I copied it using tea-stained paper. This is how it looks, not copying it with tea-stained paper. Okay? Not a whole lot of difference. It's just a little darker. And both of them are on copy paper. So see, this side was coffee stained. All right, so I like to use the coffee stain throughout the book if I can. It doesn't always happen. The cardstock usually is not, but I will ink it. I dread inking this beauty right here, though. Okay, we'll probably just do the edges on that. All right, so I wanted to show you that we have 3 identical signatures. Signature 1 and signature 3 have pretty much the exact thing in them. Signature 2 is kind of, how do I put it? Like if I put blue in the first signature, I put white in this signature. See, there's the white. And the thing that's fun about this, you guys, is see, it has crackle in it. That's what enticed me to do it, and the fact that it has roses. Now, let me see if there's any more good crackly ones in this particular book. I've got to do 3 more pages so I can have 4 to each signature. And I haven't done my tucks and pockets and stuff yet. It's not time to do that yet. Okay, this isn't the one that I was looking for. Let me look over here and see. But as you can see, I've just put paper in here. I've put it identical in the same thing in each book. Maybe slight differences if I didn't have 3. Okay, there you can see the crackle. See it? I love, 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 love this journal, and I haven't even got it done yet. Okay. So those are the papers, and again, we talked about the fabric. I haven't got it cut yet, but I plan on doing that hopefully today. And this is the inside of both front and back cover. I told you that already. So I was thinking, looking at that, now I wouldn't put this big journal word, but I have thought about cutting out something to put on the front of the book. So let's just pretend that this is our crackled book. Okay, and since we're including pink, you know, we could do that. Now, mind you, this is the size of the inside. We have just about a 1/4 inch more for the cover. So I'm thinking not this big and not this big journal word. It's a little gaudy for me. But I'm thinking of fussy cutting around the dark portion and fussy cutting in and in between all of the flowers, and then putting this little girl on the cover. So this is what I need your help with. I'm going to start fussy cutting it, but I want your opinion. This little girl could cover up any failed spots on the book. are really close, okay? And then I might even put behind her some muslin or something, you know, that will look good with the cover. And it is white. And I do have some white burlap. So, you know, that might even look good behind her, or a white doily. Okay, so that's just a thought I have. This is the same little girl you see on every picture in the world, but she just has the right look, doesn't she? So I'm going to fussy cut this evening, and I'll show it to you before we do it, but I want to know yes for the picture or no, nothing on the cover, even though it's got a couple little places. You guys tell me. I don't try, when I do my junk journals, I don't try to make them perfect, but I am a perfectionist, so that's kind of contradicting myself, but it's true. I mean, we forget that we are making junk journals, right? And sometimes I get too pretty and forget that I'm doing a junk journal. So after this project, the first thing I'm going to do after this is I'm going to do my design team project for Tracy Fox Love Junk Journal, and it's going to be lavender. Tracy stepped out of the box and did some color, and I'm going to take advantage of it. I know we just did a lavender book not that long ago, but this is way more lavender. It's kind of a lavender pink. That's what I'm going to call it. Lavender pink. I'm going to use some of Mrs. Coggs lavender in the garden, and all of Tracy's embellishments in that as well. So I don't know what the cover is going to look like. Who knows? We might crackle it in lavender. I don't know what we're going to do. So here's my 3 pieces of tea-dyed paper that's cut and folded for the size of this journal. Now, I'm going to add a flap to these, and I'm going to do it a certain way, and I want to show you how I do these. I don't think I've ever shown you. I cut this, I cut a strip of tea stain paper to about 1 inch. Yeah, I cut it to 1 inch. I'm going to cut 3, so I have one for each paper. And so I'm cutting it about 1 inch, and then I'm going to fold it in half, score it and fold it in half, or just fold it in half. That's what I usually do. I cut it the same height as the paper, so that, you know, we have plenty. So these little bitty ones can go bye-bye. Okay, so now we've got these small, or 1 inch ones. Now we're going to fold all 3 of these into 1 inch first. Okay, I use glue. You can use whatever type of glue you want, but I still am a firm believer on my Fabri-Tac when I'm making a journal to sell. Okay, I want to make sure I have a guaranteed glue that will hold. Now, if I'm collaging, believe me, the Uno, or you know, or who knows, glue stick works really well, and it holds collage, trust me. It will give it such strength. It gives the paper strength. Now your edges, sometimes you have to, you know, put those down, but so, okay. One more. Now, I try to get these as perfect as I can, but, you know, because that's just what I do. I try not to, but I do. And then I take one sheet of paper and I divide it into thirds, just like this. I want it smaller than this, because when we put our hinge on here, okay, we want it to go in like this, okay? Oh, looks like that's just slightly longer. I wonder how that happened. Maybe I forgot to trim that little bit off. That's not a big deal. We can do that. Okay, and so the hinge will be here, and this will be here. Sometimes I trim this a little bit, and I put washi tape on it just to show you that, hey, flip it open. There's a surprise. There it is. And I will be putting washi tape somewhere on here. You can use washi tape to hinge this, but I'll tell you, I've done both, and they still are kind of stiff when you open it. It's not going to flip open like, you know, like a butterfly. You will have to fold it over, and there you go. So let's trim these long ones down just slightly so we don't have to deal with that. And these don't have to be the exact same size. If one turns out a little shorter than the others, who cares? You know, who cares? Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit off of these. I'm not even measuring. I'm just doing it. Let me even this up, though. We don't want a mess, right? Okay. And it just looks like it needs a little bit. If it ends up a little bit shorter, it's no big deal. There we go. Okay. Move that out of our way, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to take my piece of paper. I'm going to open it up. I love the way this tea stained. And I'm going to take the top that I want to face up here and line it up evenly along this edge. Okay, line it up straight. You're not gluing it down. You're going to glue your hinge onto this outside. And then we'll go from there. I told you one piece of this paper. I think I want to pull those others out. I had forgotten that I do need those. Or you need washi tape. So you just kind of have to decide, do I want to put washi tape or do I want to put more of this paper? We'll decide once we get this on, okay? So I've already got this folded, right? So what I'm going to do is turn it sideways here like this. It's lined nice and pretty. When I say pretty, I mean straight. Got something in my eye. I'm kind of playing with it. Okay. Oops, I just knocked it over. I like to just put one side down first so I don't have to deal with it not being like it needs. And I'm just going to put one strip of glue straight across. I don't want it to be too much. And you're going to put the lip of the side with no glue underneath the bottom portion. Slide that in. That's still got that longer than I should have. Okay, and then fold it down. And I'm just doing one side at a time. Just like that. Now, I didn't trim these little pieces. So guess what? We're going to have to trim those off. And that's not a big deal either. So we know now our paper's not going to move, right? And that's good. Okay, and this is just a tiny bit off down here. Okay, now, so now I'm going to flip it over. And we're going to do the same thing over here, except it's already under the bottom portion. So we're just going to glue this top portion down. Okay, and fold it in. This is how I make hinges a lot. If I don't want to use washi, maybe I don't have a washi that looks good enough to me. So then I fold it out like this and make sure everything's like it needs to be. Now see, this is really, could go over a little more, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's not a big deal. Now, because when it folds, see, it's still going to fold straight. And that's all that matters to me. Now, my paper is slightly bigger than my... Most people wouldn't even mess with what I just trimmed off, okay? Now, we're going to take this small piece that we cut away from the bigger piece, and we can glue it right here, or we can put washi right here. The reason I'm kind of hesitant on the washi is because I guess we could do the washi. You can do either one, okay? This will work. You don't have to fold it ahead of time. You can wait till it dries and then fold it like this. It will make it a little more stiff than the washi, but not enough that it should make that big of a difference, okay? So I have two different washis here that will work in our book. This is blue with pink roses, green and blue. So let's use the small one on the inside, or maybe on the outside, and use the bigger one here. This has roses on it too, and it has some blue flowers as well. Well, I have enough. We'll just go ahead and use this. I want to know if anybody, any of my subbies, if you know where I can get some really beautiful, unique washi on Etsy. You know, I don't know who carries it. I haven't seen any. Now, normally I would use my Yoo-Hoo, but I'm going to go ahead and straight down the line here in the very middle, I'm going to put a strip of Fabri-Tac. I just think it's faster, it's easier. Now, I'm going to turn it toward me so I don't get it crooked. I just thought about that. I hope you guys can see okay. If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. Okay, do I say that all the time? It's because I mean it. Okay, now if I would have wanted to, but it would waste my favorite washi, I could have just folded that around and did it on the other side. I could do what we did with the paper on the other side, and it would look more like, but we're not going to worry with that. Now, I'm going to show you how now I can just fold it over, just like that. I don't want this portion to be washi, but I do like to add a little bit of washi right here on the top. So what we're going to do, here we go again, we're going to put another strip of Fabri-Tac along the edge. The reason I do this is I want you to know I can do this or I can put a tab, either one. And I've done both, but I'm going to use a thinner washi here. Kind of, if I can get it off the, there it goes. Okay, now I want to keep it lined up along the edge. So, get it down on one end first. Stick it to your table and line it up. The nice thing about washi is you can pull it up if it's not lined perfect and get it straight. And another reason, I didn't tell you this, and I want to make sure you understand this. Another reason that I make this inside paper, make sure those don't stick together, shorter, is because when you bind it, if you have it so close, it can get all messed up, and I don't like that. So here gives you a nice big journaling spot. Make sure your washi here, the glue, doesn't seep over and glue the page together. Okay, and trim off the little edge. Okay, so we have 2 more of those to do. Let me see how much time we have. I don't want us to sit and do the same thing over and over. We have 10 minutes. So, let's do 1 more. And we can get this in with 1 more. Okay? And let me... All right, so that one is ready to go in our journal. And it will, as soon as we get everything done here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still going to hinge this. I'm going to do them all 3 just alike. I don't want any surprises in your book. I'll do like this, line it up. I've already folded my hinges. Line it up right there. Now, just so you know, also, you can put your paper here. So you could do your paper on the outside, like this. Have your washi here, flip it over, have your washi there. But I just like the big fold out, so I'm going to do them all alike. Okay? I think it's fun to have them in your book. So we got this lined up. Got the hinge all ready. So let's hinge. Let's put the glue on the very top of this paper, keeping it lined up. You want to make sure you put an amount that will actually hold this down. I see a lot of people not using very much glue, and I'm not the one to judge, you know. They probably know their glue better than anybody, but I have a tendency, you guys know, I have a tendency to be an over gluer, but I don't want it to show. So you won't see it. It's rare to see it in my books, because I'm crazy about making sure it's not on there. So there we have that side. So we're going to flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Like before, keep your paper straight. Get your Fabri-Tac down. I think I'm even going to, because this fabric is white, I think I'm even going to double line it before I bind it. Now, you could still get some glue seepage through fabric. You know, fabric's fabric. I always line my binding so that I can prevent getting any more than necessary. But, you know, you can't control how the glue or the fabric is going to seep until after you've put it on. You just don't know. Okay, so this is nice and glued down. So now let's flip it over. Do our wider. Let me trim this a little bit better. There. All right. I heard somebody say the other night on YouTube that they didn't like calling the journals junk journals. Well, I think it was because of they treasured their journals so much. But I think the point of junk journal, at least to me, is using all kinds of stuff. It doesn't have to be junk. I use a little of both, you know. I try to, I try my hardest to not let it look raggy, but I have a lot of times, you guys may not even know it, that I have put packaging in my books, and there's that. Let me crease it. so much easier to do it that way than to try to fight it and put it on the glue, then put it on here. Just is lots easier for the person doing it. And then that's not really super hard, but do you ever just wrestle with stuff that already has glue on it? It starts wrapping around your wrist and around your fingers. Drives me crazy. So then it goes like this, and we're going to put our strip, our small strip, right here. These go really fast. Of course, I'm taking my sweet time. I haven't been getting in a hurry for anything lately. I'm just, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I've got to rest. My doctor said I had to rest to recover from my first procedure. And before 4 weeks later, I'm having another procedure. I would have never expected that. No way would I do 2 procedures a year on purpose. And really, not 4 weeks apart. Because, you know, being under that anesthesia any longer than you got to. I was under 3 hours with my first procedure. So, yeah, you know, that's a long time. But I'm having so much fun working on this book and not feeling rushed. And I'm working on a lot of other things. I'm planning ahead. I cut out some fall stuff. If anybody wants a Halloween book, you'll need to request it. I think I'm going to make one, a little golden book, if I have time in between all this surgery stuff. And if you want a fall book, you need to let me know now, because I will need to get those done. Last year, I made some beautiful fall books. Go back and look at my videos if you weren't a subby at that time. And look back at this time last year and moving into September and October. I tried to start them in September because I really wanted them to be useful to the person. So I would normally be making fall books come September. But right now, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, let's do one. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's start saying, did I do that right? One more, and we'll be done for today. Now, here is our last piece of paper. I'm going to line this up right along here. Okay, get your folded hinge. See how much faster we can do it this time. Go along here. I'm going to bring over the covers in just a second. I think I'm going to put this hinge on, and then I will bring on the other covers. Okay. Hold that paper down while you lift up and put this underneath the back part of the paper. Push it up. Fold it down. Yeah. There we go. Let's go ahead and trim that while I'm nice and straight to it. Okay, now flip it over. Put your glue on this side. I moved it. It's not a big deal. We're just putting hinges on. I'll just line it right back up. Okay. That's why I try to hang on to it. I'm getting in too big a hurry. Trying to rush over and show you the other stuff. Okay, so let me grab those books and I will come back and do these washies off camera. Let me see how they're drying. I might not be able to move them, but I will see. Okay, there's no change. They still look the same, so I'm not going to take a risk of picking them up. Sorry, guys. Now, I do need your help. Yes or no to the front cover. To cover up a blemish. But really, I'm not concerned about the blemish, okay? I just want to make that clear. All right, so I'll be using that cover, and we'll just play it by ear. All right, guys, if you think we should use the little girl in the front, tell me yes, use the little girl, or no, I don't think that'll look good. All right, guys, I appreciate you all hanging in there with me. I hope you're having fun doing the rose book along with me, or getting some good ideas if you're doing something different. I'm going to be in the next video. I don't know if I'll have it bound yet, but I'm hoping to have the cover ready to be put on the binding. We'll just have to see. Won't be tomorrow. It'll probably be the next day. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.